This is going to be a very difficult video for us to make. I think you guys may have seen over the past weekend, we took a little break and we ended up, unfortunately, losing Zoey.
I noticed last week that we were kind of, I don't know, I guess not as much into filming, and the reason for that is because Zoey, and I really mean this, Zoey started kind of talking to us in a different way.
It felt like
it, especially to Charles. Like she was just, I think she was telling us something. And so Charles and I spent a lot of time with her, and we had a lot of conversations, and we knew, Char knew, she was telling us it was time to go.
Forever, like, you guys know Zoey she's 16, and for the past couple years, she started losing her ability to walk slowly.
Because she had hip dysplasia.
She had hip dysplasia, and then all of a sudden, it just got to paralysis, and she wasn't able to walk at all.
Or she couldn't utilize her back hips, or I'm sorry, her back legs.
Yeah, from her hips to her legs. Everything else was fine. Her brain was there. Her her ability to
bark
and eat was all there. So we
go to the bathroom.
We just thought, you know, this is just like, there's no reason why she can't have a fulfilling life still, just because she couldn't walk. I never felt ever that it was time or anything like that until this past week where I started noticing.
She was still eating, she was still peeing and pooping, she was still being Zoe's self, but there was just, he told me there was just something
was
different with her, that when Zoey always loved being around Jar, like always, and like when he was gone, like, you know, she missed him, but it was just different this time. Like she always wanted Jar there.
She couldn't see.
Yeah, and she was not happy unless he was like right next to her. There was just something different. She was just telling us it was time.
She was 16 years old, and like that is honestly unheard of for dogs. I mean, I was telling Allie, so she has been with us, with me through everything, like from graduation to breakups to, I couldn't even imagine, to marriage, to radiation, to chemo, through 3 brain surgeries, coming home from tour, being gone from tour, and then being there for Remy as well. So it's like
Traveled everywhere with us.
She's traveled everywhere, and
Zoe's never complained. I don't know if anybody's ever known that.
She's honestly, Marley was a complainer. Marley was such a complainer. Zoey, I don't think I ever heard her yelp ever. That's what I think would made it so much harder for us, because I thought about all the times that I wouldn't say I was in denial. Like I couldn't come up with the fact that I would come to reality that something was going on.
Let's talk about good stuff. You want to talk about?
In 2005, I was 21 years old.
Is that when you got her?
Yeah, I was 21 years old. Moved out years before, but I was in college, and I wanted a dog. My parents always had dogs, so I looked on the various websites there are online, because I wanted to rescue one, and I saw this little face that was really crappy, looks like a pixelated photo. I still have it, and it's this little dog behind the cage, and I immediately called, and I went to go pick her up, and I remember vividly it was this house that had nothing but puppies everywhere. It was a rescue shelter, or what are they called? Like a halfway house for dogs or something?
I think it was just a rescue.
Well, it wasn't a rescue. It was like a foster care. It was a foster care lady. She was fostering a lot of animals. And I remember looking at these dogs, and Zoey was the runt, if you can believe it or not.
I know, she's so big now.
And she had identical puppies, and there was her brother would always beat up on her. That's what the lady told me. So I was like, you know what? Screw you. I'm taking the little one. And I remember bringing her home, and her just being so fun and so happy. I wasn't supposed to have, this is actually kind of funny. I wasn't supposed to have a dog where I was living, so I had to always like take her out like sneakily. I would have to like hold her and then put her like behind a bush and just make sure my like I actually talked to my roommate who actually named Zoe, and he he would always work on the floor. He would always do his classwork on the floor. And I remember like there was a threshold where they the threshold for the door, the whatever you go through the threshold. And he would always be like, Zoe, don't, and she would just look at him and do one of those foot over, and he'd be like, don't, back, foot over, and then one day she just ran at him and just puked all over his classwork. It really started going crazy was when she was there for the very beginning of everything of my career, and I think one thing I really started noticing was when I started doing these things and sharing, people really started gravitating towards her, telling me stories about how she made everybody feel happy and smile when they got to see her and stuff like that. And then I started really, oh my God, I really started to really hit me about like how much I love this little dog.
One thing I have so many memories of Zoe that I love so much. I love that Zoe was down for anything, quite literally anything. You could put anything on her head. You could dress her up any way that you wanted. You could make her sit there with a treat on top of her nose. She was just so, like, literally just like such a good dog. Like, so well behaved, so well trained, everything. And then her moments with Marley, like Marley was such a dickhead to her, like such a dickhead to her. And I know Diesel annoyed her so bad too. And then do you remember when we were in Yellowstone? And I remember this moment that Charles and I could not stop laughing. We thought it was so funny. There's so many moments with all three of them together that I love.
The one where they sniffed and then they all
started rolling the grass, or like that moment. I feel like it's got to be somewhere out on the internet. We're sitting on the bed and Charles says something about you want to go for a walk, and they all are laying next to each other. They're all like prairie dogs. I'm like, whoop. She's been such a big part of my life being with you. I remember when I first started dating Charles, one of the big things that he said to me is he's like, you gotta win over my dogs. And I'm like, oh, I get it. I got one too. You're gonna have to win over my dog too. And then we're like, then they're gonna have to like each other. Marley was so judgy. Marley was so judgy of me. I just remember Zoe was like,
just all gentle,
sweet and gentle, and like what I would imagine like a kind grandmother is to like guide you. And I don't know, she was just like, she made me feel more comfortable in a very nerve-wracking situation. I don't think people really understand the strength a dog has until you really own one. I don't know, it's like they're so much stronger than we give them credit for, and they're so much more smart and loving and like brilliant, and it's just
genuine and unconditional love.
Yeah, I don't know,
I go on tour and I come home, like she would just be all over me, and then
she was so happy. Anytime Charles ever came home, she was so happy. It was like she hadn't seen him for 5 years. Like, she genuinely loved you like so freaking hard. Like, every day I saw it. She loved you more than she's loved anything in this world. When Charles was having seizures, I don't know if we ever really shared this in the vlogs before, but when Charles was having seizures, or when a bad one would happen that evening, Zoe always kind of stayed extra close to Charles and would sleep on his side of the bed, whereas her bed used to be in a different place. She almost, in a weird way, told us that he was gonna have one.
And when she could jump, she would jump on the bed too.
And it was really crazy. Like, I never really knew how just in tune she was with Charles until those moments.
It's hard to believe. It's like she would lay right there, and I keep looking at everything, and I don't know, I just can't. When we lost Marley, it was just as bad. Like, it's like we would come home, we would have the chirping noise all the time, and then all of a sudden it's quiet. Now we walk in the door, we used to see Zoe like chilling and hanging out with Diesel, just laying down.
In a dead sleep, startled when we walk in the door.
Now we walk in and it's not there, and I honestly, it's so hard. It's like 16 years, that's almost half my life.
She was very special.
Through everything crappy and happy in my life. I remember, like, when I had the first surgery on tour, like, only thing I wanted to do was I wanted to go home and be with Marley and Zoey, just feel better. And the second I got home, it was one of the coolest, awesome things because they just welcomed me home, and it was made me feel better so instantly. And the ultimate was, I think what's really kind of hurt me the most is once Remy was born, I was so excited because I was like, she's gonna be so good with kids, so good. And she was amazing with Remy, and like other kids that would come, she would just be so helpful and so gentle. And there's like videos when we brought Remy home, and like Marley sniffed a little bit and then walked away. Zoey just sat there and just like studied her, studied her. And then like once Remy started getting older and stuff like that and growing up, she was always next to Remy. She was always laying next to Remy. And I think what's really kind of hurting, like other than the fact that we lost her, is that Remy lost her too.
You know, thankfully Remy doesn't understand death yet, but she does notice things.
One night, I guess it was the night that she passed, you know, she would go around saying goodnight to all the animals. That's just what she does. And she came out and she was like, "Where's Zoey?" And we're like, I lost it.
Thankfully we have these beautiful Zoey and Marley dolls, and she's been sleeping with her every night. And I told her that Zoey's in heaven, and that whenever she wants to see Zoey, she can hold her doll. And so she sleeps with her doll every night, and she's been hugging and kissing on her. I'm happy that Remy was able to have all of the dogs in her life because she genuinely remembers them. And she can look back on it too. She can look back on it.
And they taught her so much about animals too.
And I think that's why she loves animals so much, is because of them. You know, not because of us, but I genuinely think because of the gentle nature that all 3 of these dogs and these 2 cats have given to her, have taught her how to be kind and loving and to respect animals. And when Zoey started laying, you know, her back end started functioning less, it taught Remy to be more gentle and to be more cautious. And I also have to admire Zoey because Zoey just kind of dealt with it too. Like Zoey was just like, she's a baby, like almost telling us like she's a baby, she's gonna do things.
She did exactly what I thought she would do when I had a child. Is that she became this amazing, gentle giant. Now that she's gone and Remy goes almost everywhere and goes, "Where's Zoey? Where's Zoey? Zoey, where are you?" And like I remember telling her, I was like, the day before she left, I was like saying, you know, Zoey's gonna go on a long trip. She's gonna go on a fair, and she kept going like, "Are we going?" and things like that.
Zoey touched our lives. She was a great dog.
I can't tell you one specific thing that was so good about her, and like I think about I'm trying to be happy about it because like it's so easy to be sad. There's so many amazing memories, and I'm so happy that she was with me when she was, because I'm able to look back on all these, just like Marley, I'm able to look back on all these things in their life. And I can be like, you know, this is the time she went into the thing and got a giant branch when I threw a twig, which is the funniest thing. I remember that vividly to this day. I threw a stick this big, and when she came back out of the waters in the river, she had a limb this big, and she couldn't even pick it up. Like, she's dragging it. And then when she tore open a phone book, when those were a thing, I don't know how one got into our apartment, but it was just ripped to shreds. First thing, seeing herself in the mirror. I don't know, there's just so many things that I'm trying to stay like happy about everything and think about. She's gone, and she was such a huge part, but at the same time, she left such a impact. Not even me. I truly believe, as much as she was our dog and my dog for 16 years, she was the internet's dog. She like touched the life of like 1 billion people, literally 1 billion people, hundreds of millions of people. And just, I remember stories of people saying, "I love watching the dogs. I love watching dog vlogs. I watching Zoey and Marley interact." One time our first RV trip, people recognized Zoey and Marley before us, and they wanted.
It's not a joke. It's
no,
like,
they wanted to meet
true.
the dogs. They were just like, "Oh, hey, Charles and Allie, where's Zoey?
Where the dogs?
Yeah, where's Zoey and Marley? I don't know. I think that's why I take solace in is that she helps so many people that basically we're just kind of like needing an extra smile. Allie and I were looking at photos and we were like what represents her? Like what represents her personality? And we were just going through it and we were just like,
can't choose.
What is this? Remember this when she did this? And we're like,
it's amazing how much life or how much she was a part of our life. Not just our family dog, like a part of our life, like shared in so much of our life. I'm so thankful for that.
Like real talk, like I would get so depressed, especially when I was going through all my stuff and through all the shit in my life. I would get so depressed and then I would just take them out and I'd go swimming or I'd go, you know, watch them do something fun and it would take my mind off of things and it would make me happy again. She just like, you know, changed my life. She gave me a sense of like responsibility. I think was the first thing that I've never had to care for anything. You know, my parents had dogs. I had dogs as a kid. But it wasn't my dog. It wasn't my responsibility. It made me grow up a little bit more. I don't know if that makes more sense.
Yeah, the thing you had to care for.
I'm trying to stay happy with this.
And you know what those last 3 days, we fed her an entire rotisserie chicken.
Yeah,
an entire rotisserie chicken. I got a rotisserie chicken.
A donut.
Donuts, cheeseburgers, everything that we knew she loved. Remy fed her, Diesel ate with her, the cats ate chicken. It's weird. We laid under the trees and we walked miles and miles and miles and it was just...
Oh, she rolled.
She rolled.
The second that we found out that she was losing her ability to walk, I was like, you know what? This is like anything else. Just because you can't walk doesn't mean you have...
Your life's over.
Your life is done. She was there the whole time mentally. She knew what was going on. I was heartbroken, obviously, because I would remember I would come home. Also, when I was younger, I used to be a projectionist at a movie theater, so my hours were horrible. I honestly thank God for my roommates because they would take care of her and they would take her out. But literally, this is why I think it's so funny, and that's probably why that's still there. I don't know if you... Zoey and laser pointers was her thing.
Oh my gosh, the ceiling laser pointer.
The ceiling laser.
Yeah, that's right up there.
I remember always, like, if like I got home late, I'd be like, okay, you know, I feel like a jerk. I need to
give her exercise.
I need to give her exercise. So I'm like, I would take her out back of the apartment. I would take her completely out back. I would take a laser pointer and I would go like this. And back and forth behind the apartment complex because I was still not allowed to have a dog. I even showed you when we first started dating. I'd be like, watch this, and I'd go like this, and I'd put it on the wall, and she'd run, and she'd go, and she'd just like try to eat the laser pointer. I don't know, there's so many things, and that's why I'm trying so hard because it's so easy to be sad, but it's...
She brought a lot of happiness.
There's just so much that was awesome.
There's a void, you know? It's just gonna be a long... and tough road not having her here. Isn't it amazing how like we can forget about people in our lives? I really mean this, like you can forget about people, but it's like our pets touch us in a way that's like so different. We'll always remember moments with them and we'll always remember them. And Zoey is definitely the one we'll always remember, you know, just like Marley. We'll always remember her and we'll remember so many things we got to share with her. We'll remember so many beautiful moments we got to have with her. And how lucky we were.
Another thing too is like when we lost Marley 2 years ago, I just started accepting the fact that that happened and then this happened.
And you know, I also think that Zoey was telling us maybe
so
because she finally knew, and I really mean this, like she finally knew that you were okay. They will put themselves through so much to make sure that we're good. I think she literally finally knew you were okay.
What still kills me and still hurts a lot, other than everything, was that when everything was going down and happening, her heart kept going and going and going.
She wouldn't let go until he said something to her, which is very true. She needed to know that he knew he was gonna be okay, and I told him that because we talked to her.
The second I did, she passed.
She's a strong girl, and we love her so much.
I just love the fact that she meant as much to me as she does to you guys.
Yeah.
It warms my heart to know that she touched so many people. And
Agree.
I get to hear stories of guys like telling me randomly, like, oh, I remember when she used to catch the frisbee and take it from Marley and run away. I remember when she used to put her face in the water and do something silly or something like that. I remember when she would do all these little like goofy things. I remember when she stuck her nose in the sand. I remember when she fell into the sand. I remember when she even when she started having to like when she started losing her grip, we put her on those little booties just to try to figure out certain things.
When she started having a little bit harder time walking, we almost kind of babied her a little bit. We're like, oh my gosh, we feel so bad for her because, you know, we were just worried. And I think she started to milk it a little bit because she could still walk, and she wouldn't eat her food. So she would make us like make her meals. Like I'd have to cook, you know, meat and stuff like that. And then she got to a point where she would make Charles feed her with a spoon, not because she couldn't do it, but because Charles would do it. And I think she was like, literally she was just kind of milking the system. It was so funny. It was like one day Melissa came over to feed her, and we're like, hey, you know, you might have to feed her with a spoon. She's like, what are you talking about? I just put her bowl down and she ate out of her bowl. And we're like, are you kidding me? This dog is just, she's so smart. She's just like milking the system. And we're trying not to be sad, but you cry when something touches you so drastically.
Remy that hurts a lot for me with Remy.
We had to say goodbye to Zoey. I'm really happy we could do it in her favorite spot in our house, from the comfort of our home, laying with her and holding her.
I think I want to end this now because it started really good. We got a little upset. I want to say thank you guys for being amazing and cherishing our animals as much as we do.
Yes,
it really
they were
truly
very loved, spoiled.
You guys helped me find out that she was a Kelpie. I didn't even know that. You guys were like, she's an Australian Kelpie. I'm like, or Huntaway. You guys are the ones who figured that out. I love the stories you guys tell me about things. I remember when Zoey did that. I remember when Marley would stand on your chest. I remember when Zoey would do this. I remember when Zoey would do that. I was on tour. You guys would give me toys for Zoey and Marley, and I remember I would have trash bags, like those big black trash bags, what are they, lawn bags, full of dog toys, to the point to where the entire bay under the tour bus was just filled with dog toys, and everyone put their suitcase in there, and you just hear squeak, 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 squeak.
Gosh, everybody's gonna have to adjust.
Yeah, it's very weird.
All of our family, Diesel's trying to adjust. We're just happy we had her for as long as we had her. We're so lucky. So lucky I got to know her personally. I'm happy and thankful she loved Diesel. Friend is gonna make a really beautiful montage of Zoey that we can't wait to show you so we can look at all these happy moments together.
No more crying, time for happiness. Now it's time to think of all the amazing moments and cherish those. We'll see you next time.